shall we talk about another very simple, very digestible movie, Tavi? Lost in Starlight. So this is a Netflix animated film. The first Korean animated Netflix film, I believe.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So it centers around Nanyang, who is an astronaut who wants to go to Mars. Her mum was an astronaut and she was part of like a failed mission. So Nanyang kind of has trauma based on that, but her dream is to go explore space still. So that's her whole deal. But then she meets a cool musician named Jay who fixes her record player, and they fall in love. So that happens as well. Yeah, so good looking film, I will say that.
Good looking film, yeah. I didn't know much about this movie. I didn't know Kim Tae-ri, who is the voice of the lead, Nanyang. So yeah, I was looking forward to it. And I was pretty much drawn to the art style of this film.
Yep.
I'm a big sucker for that Makoto Shinkai style of animation.
It is Makoto Shinkai-esque.
Very, very Makoto Shinkai.
But it's set in Korea, so it doesn't look as good. Yuck.
I think, no, wait, I'm going to have to disagree with that.
All right.
I think the world is really well built in this movie.
So it's set in the future. So there is some progression in the technology. There's like holographic advertising going on. I thought all of that stuff was pretty cool.
Yeah, like I think this movie does suffer a little bit it suffers from being too short. So there's not as much time to build that really deep romance. Like it's a believable romance and it's a very fun to watch romance. It's very cute. It very much reminds me a lot of there's a lot of like mid 2000s Japanese like romance dramas that I watched when I was studying a lot of film school stuff. I'm not sure if you know like Heavenly Forest or Crying Out Loud in the World, but a lot of those movies had this kind of tone to it.
Sure.
And it is arguable that like, it is kind of a Makoto Shinkai ripoff in a sense. And I think, there's just not enough retention between the main characters. But I think what really makes this film stand out and what really makes me really, really like this film is the visuals are spectacular. Like the visuals and the universe that they've built. You often see sci-fi that has this kind of world is always like a dour, grim, like a cyberpunk dystopia.
Yeah, everyone's really gross, like in Mars Express or something like that. Yeah,
Mars Express was the closest to like, oh, this seems like a cool world, but it's a thriller. Whereas this one, like it's kind of, if you really think about it, it's not really science fiction because it's not really like, I mean, science fiction is a bit broader these days because it's not really sort of a commentary about, like the hubris of man or the dangers of, messing around with science.
Yeah, this is more of a character piece that is set.
It's more like a sci-fi fantasy, I think. So that's kind of more what Star Wars is. It's like a sci-fi fantasy. It's not really like a commentary on anything. Where Dune, I would say, is more science fiction because there's a stronger thematic element to it. But this film, like I watched it at first and then I talked to you and Boone about it and you guys had a much lesser opinion about this movie.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it. I'm like, oh, maybe this movie is actually not that good. But then when I rewatched this movie and I was just taken aback again by how vivid a lot of the animation is and just how much detail there is into this world.
Yeah.
And that might have led to the detriment of other aspects of the film not being focused on. Like maybe the narrative is not as strong. But every like frame in this film has so much detail and it's just such a nice world. It's what I hope our future is going to look like. Our future is probably more going to be like maybe like a Blade Runner world where it's kind of everything's fucked.
I mean, I don't think we're that far off this kind of world, especially in countries like Seoul and So countries like South Korea, I should say.
Yeah, and China, I guess. China is pretty much there.
Yeah.
They're quite futuristic.
But yeah,
now.
like I said, this is more of like a character piece that's set in like a future world, a slightly future world. My main issue is that it feels like two character pieces that don't really connect that much. Like I would have probably preferred if it just focused on Nanyang's story rather than shoehorning a romance if they weren't going to develop that romance or connect it in any way. Like you said, it was kind of like off-brand Makoto Shinkai. And it is, because like Makoto Shinkai, they're beautiful movies as well.
Yeah.
But, you know, the narrative works in a way that this doesn't. The narrative kind of, all of the elements, they connect to each other and they have a purpose to each other. Whereas this, it's like Jay's story and Nanyang's story, they don't really connect in any way. So it just feels like you kind of foregoing this really interesting story in Nanyang about like trauma and like her trying to find something that she knows is lost, right? And kind of sacrificing a lot for that. But then you also got Jay's music stuff going on, which is kind of like, I think it's kind of just there for soundtrack maybe, but I don't,
I do like the soundtrack to this movie. I'm a big sucker for movies about musicians sometimes. Like there's something I really like about it. There's another Japanese movie. It's called Solanin, and it has a similar feel to this movie where it's about a girl who follows her like musician boyfriend.
Yeah,
that one's a bit more like focus.
I might even preferred it if they had just focused on Jay's story. But the two of them together, it kind of amounts to not really that much.
I feel like there's a longer story on the cutting room floor. Because I feel like they probably ran out of budget because of how meticulously crafted the shots are, and Netflix wants to spend their money on making, you know, more like other slop. They need to make all those reality show stuff, so they had to take away the budget from this. And I think that's kind of a massive shame, because I do agree that I think they both have interesting stories, but it's an hour and 30 minutes is not long enough for these stories to come to its full potential.
Yeah, especially when you're shoehorning in a romance in there. And that's kind of like what made me lose a bit of interest in this film, is that it's so pretty, it's so nice to look at, but it also felt like it was kind of trying to trick me into feeling something, whereas like I just didn't.
The thing is, that's all movies. We're all manipulating you, Dan, whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
but some films do it better than others.
Yeah, I don't think this worked in that way, and it should have, like, because of how good it looks and how good it sounds as well. But yeah, it's just like it was so disjointed that I just couldn't feel anything for these characters, which is a real shame, because it's a good looking film.
I didn't actually have that issue too much. I think I was still, for what I was given, I was still sort of taken in by just the detail of the film. And I think there is enough environmental storytelling that tells enough about each of the characters. And I think there's enough visual motifs for me to sort of make up my mind about each of the characters. I do agree that the emotional impact is still probably not there. But I think with just how vivid the drawings are, I think it still carries it across, like with just the medium, or how well they've used the medium. I think it still is quite a strong piece for me.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if this is. I think this is the first time director's debut. Like I don't know if this was a full corporate decision to just be like, make a Makoto Shinkai movie, but it's future Korea, and then he just left. But I still feel like there's just a lot of, there's just so much detail in everything that I just sort of found myself just enjoying the vibe of the world, I guess, the atmosphere.
It's got a good vibe. Yeah. They got a good meet cute going on, but I don't know. I think my main issue is with the romance. It felt like kind of just shoehorned in for the sake of having a romance. Felt a bit K-drama in that way, Tommy, to be honest.
I don't think this movie feels like a K-drama. I think this movie feels more like a Japanese movie. Like one of those older Japanese films, because K-dramas,
there's a lot of will they or won't they in the K-drama.
So there's a lot more like long stares, and there's swooning in this one, but I think it's more they don't have time in the runtime to do super long
That's true.
swoons and like will they, won't they? That's like, they will. And I think there is definitely like a thematic element that I would have found a lot more interesting. Just the whole metaphor of the long distance and just like, you're fucking going to Mars and I'm just gonna be stuck here, like making music. Yeah. But that's not really explored that much.
She told him she wanted to go to Mars like right off the bat, and then he got upset about it when he found out like how dangerous it is. Of course, it's fucking dangerous. It's space travel.
It's Mars.
What do you?
Haven't you seen the Mars?
What do you think, Jay? You think she's just gonna catch the bus to Mars and it's all gonna be good? No, it's dangerous.
No, I reckon he was probably just like, oh yeah, it's just Mars. Probably wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute. Like he probably thought she was gonna grow out of it because it's like, yeah, I'm super hot, so it's fine. It's like, don't worry about it. Like I got my music.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah, he's a pretty laid back dude, I guess.
But I really like the use of technology in this film. It's that mixture of older vintage technology that has been updated to suit this sort of futurism. It reminds me of that photo book that I bought when I went to Sydney.
Oh yeah,
like a couple of years ago. It's very much reminiscent of that, and it's just a really cool art style.
Yeah,
and I think I would say this is what sets it apart from a typical, Makoto Shinkai or maybe a Mamoru Hosoda film is the futurism of it. And just how nice it looks. I think it just takes a while to come up with a lot of prototyping for that stuff. And there's so many...
Unless they got that photo book as well, Tavi.
yeah, true. They bought the same photo book.
They probably just went to Kinokuniya and got it. And they're like, oh yeah, let's make a movie.
Yeah. And like, I enjoyed the voice acting. I think, Kim Tae-ri did a good job.
English voice of Jay is Justin H. Min, Tavi, of Wong Fu fame.
Yeah. Well, that's the English version. I think there's another guy.
Hong Kyung.
Yeah. Justin Min, he's all right.
He's all right. He's all right.
He was in Beef and he was in After Yang as well. So he's like evolved from like
shortcomings. Yeah.
I hear that review that we never released.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this movie has a lot of flaws, but
it's fine. I think it's okay.
Yeah. No, I definitely recommend it.
I put it up there with Belle. Remember Belle?
With Belle? Yeah, I really like Belle as well.
Yeah.
I'm one of the I just really like the art.
Yeah.
I think Belle is a bit more like thematic. There's a lot more feels in Belle. But yeah, no, I just really like this art style. There's just so much. Yeah, I keep saying it, and I'm going to, but there's just so much detail. There's so much to just look at. Like you can pause at any point in this movie, and then it's just like, wow, that just looks really cool. And I'm actually a big fan of these kind of cute romance movies. Despite, I don't know, a lot of people seem to think I don't.
You love K-dramas. You have more patience for K-dramas than I do, Tavi.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Like, I enjoy the fantasy element of Asian romance drama because they're just a little bit different to, like, it's just, culturally, it's just different in terms of what people generally tend to like to do in their spare time or when they go. It's much more about exploring the city and going to, like fairs and shit, or just like very cutesy coupley kind of stuff, where I think the Western version is like going out partying and drinking. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. But there's no there's no sassy gay friend in there for the sake of it, and there's no
there's a sassy
other
friend.
bits of fluff. Yeah. No, there is, but she's not like a big... She's not annoying.
She might be gay. We don't know her sexual preferences.
Maybe she's gay. I also appreciate like the switching of languages as well. Actually, because she's just like speaking. Because they're starting to speak English at the beginning of the film. I'm like, did I put the dub on or something?
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's and I think Kim Tae-ri has a pretty convincing enough voice that she sounds fluent but speaks English with an accent. Yeah, she is like a pretty premium actress. I mean, she won the Baeksan Awards for that show, which I might actually watch at some point. Who knows? Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, I just looked up the animation studio. It's Climax Studio and Red Dog Culture House. Climax Studio is known for Hellbound and Jung_E on Netflix. So they've done some stuff.
Jong-E.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those shows, but I know about them.
So I guess they're more like a visual effects studio.
Yeah, Hellbound is interesting. Marcus has been on the show. He really likes Hellbound.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, the second season is not very good because You Are In was in a bit of trouble, so they sort of just replaced his actor.
Okay.
It was like, yeah. So
these Korean actors just can't stay out of trouble.
Yeah. The bad people. Yeah, but no, I recommend this movie. Go watch it.
Yeah, pretty good. And it's on Netflix, so why not watch it?
Yeah, why not watch it?